Twin Jades of Jiangdong. Chapter 15. Realm of Peach Blossoms. Outside the city gates, Sun Ce had his hood on as he held the command tally, riding his horse against the snow as he rushed to the gates. "I'm on important business for the Gonko office of the general's manor," Sun Ce said, pulling out the tally. "Has Zhou Gonko, Zhou Daran already left the city?" The city guard replied, "There was indeed a Gonko who left the city." Sun Ce said, "Hurry and open the small gates, I have an urgent letter from General Yuan for the Gonko." Sun Ce pulled out an envelope from the general's manor and brandished it at the city guard. The city guard didn't dare to dally and he brought a torch with him to come down and inspect it. Upon seeing that this was indeed a letter that had originated from Yuan Shao's manor, he immediately ordered his men to open the small gates. "Brothers, you've worked hard, get a cup of light wine and warm yourselves up," Sun Ce said, and before he left, he didn't forget to give them a little bit of broken silver pieces as a reward. "We'll keep the city gates open for you, Lord," the city guard said happily. "Have a good trip. Zhou Gonko has probably not gone very far." Zhou Yu rode on his horse, the hand that was gripping the rein slick with sweat, only to see that a small crack opened on one of the side gates to Shaochun City. In the distance, a sliver of light shone through, and a single steed charged out. Zhou Yu's entire person was about to collapse from relief, while Zhao Yun merely smiled and waved his long whip once. "Chia! Chia!" Sun Ce's pleased voice traveled to them from afar. He caught up to the carriage procession, and they set off in the dark night. The wheels rattled, and hoofbeats resounded. When they arrived at the inn, it was currently during the fifth gang, and Zhou Yu dismounted first, saying to the group of assassins waiting in the inn, disguised as if they were on official business, "Everyone's worked hard, let's set off right now. We'll rest at night." The guards all rose, but they didn't speak as they followed Zhou Yu, escorting the carriage on its way. Sun Ce had already ducked into the carriage. Lady Wu lifted aside the curtain, asking Zhou Yu, "You heir, who are these people?" "My subordinates," Zhou Yu replied truthfully. "And, please rest assured, they are all members of the Gonko office." Lady Wu nodded. She glanced at their followers, whose faces were each filled with murderous intent, veins bursting from the backs of their hands in complete focus. Every now and then, the assassins would glance at Zhao Yun, clearly suspicious about why there was an extra person, so Zhou Yu explained that he was their carriage driver. At noon, this procession had already traveled almost 100 li away, and Zhou Yu had climbed several times into the carriage to visit. In the carriage, Zhou Yu said quietly, "By now, Yuan Shu definitely has discovered that you are no longer in the manor." "Not necessarily," Sun Ce replied. "Yesterday night, he and Yuan Shao drank half the night away. The later he wakes today, the more beneficial it is to us." "There was no one keeping surveillance on you after you entered the manor?" Zhou Yu asked. Sun Ce replied. "We should still go faster. If Yuan Shu were to send people in pursuit, I'm only afraid that we might not be able to run fast enough." Zhou Yu replied, "We can't go any faster. If we look as if we are must and in a rush, the assassins will grow suspicious. They're all experts, and there are 20 plus of them. Even if we can get rid of them all, I don't have a handle on whether or not we can keep everyone safe." Zhou Yu glanced at Cao Pi, who tugged at Zhou Yu's sleeve, his face red with suffering. "What's wrong?" Zhou Yu asked. "I need to relieve myself," Cao Pi said. "Zhou Yu, a little one or a big one?" Sun Ce asked. "A little one," Cao Pi said. "Me too," Sun Quan added. Zhou Yu sucked in a deep breath and said, "Wait, let me think of something." This group of assassins were probably still unaware that Zhou Yu had brought several children with them, but he couldn't let them grow suspicious. As Zhou Yu pondered, he figured that it would be best for them not to know, and he said, "You two take turns getting off to relieve yourselves, and in a bit, you'll have to change your clothes. And saying this, Zhou Yu exited the carriage, ordering the group to halt. Everyone waited to one side, and Zhou Yu said, "Madam Sun needs to rest for a bit, everyone go wait by the side of the road." Thankfully, Lady Wu was on the carriage, so the assembled party didn't dare to get too close. They obeyed Zhou Yu's orders, waiting by the roadside, while Zhao Yun stopped the carriage a little further away, helping Lady Wu down. So P was wearing Sun Quan's clothes, and he came down as well, heading to the grass clumps by the roadside. A moment later, So P went back to the carriage first, and not long after, Sun Quan ran off. Zhou Yu was putting in his utmost effort to speak with a group of the assassins, but most of them merely nodded or shook their heads, or replied shortly to avoid offending him. Zhou Yu thought to himself, this group of people might be very hard to deal with. Sun Quan. Zhou Yu shouted. Don't run off. Okay. Sun Quan replied from within the tufts of grass. A moment later, Lady Wu brought Sun Quan back to the carriage, and with Zhao Yun at the reins, the carriage set off again. At noon, to gain some time, they ate some dried rations on the road. At twilight, Zhao Yun stopped the carriage at an inn on the side of the road, and Lady Wu led Sun Quan off the carriage. Zhou Yu then took this group of people into the inn to eat, pay, and order food. This inn was very small, and the inn master was also the waiter. Upon seeing that a big business opportunity had come, he hurried back and forth, getting things ready. No need to trouble Zhou Daran, a man who was clearly the leader of the assassins said. We will eat dry rations. You brothers have worked hard too, Zhou Yu said to him quietly. Even if you don't eat, come sit inside for a bit. I'm afraid Madame Sun is growing suspicious. Several times along the way, she asked me about your group's origins. If, when the time comes, Sun Jian learns of this, he may grow suspicious as well. That leader thought for a bit, and after concluding that things were like Zhou Yu said, he called over all his men from the backyard and issued them a few simple orders. The group then flowed into the inn, took up a portion of the space, and began to eat rations on their own. Zhou Yu took the water kettle over to the low platform, washing the cups for Lady Wu and Sun Quan. Zhao Yun was to one side, ready to carry out any orders, so Zhou Yu said to him, you go to the kitchen to take a look, tell them to cut 2 plates of cured meat and bring them out. With that, Zhao Yun left. A group of assassins sat in the corner, eating their rations, and Zhou Yu used his gaze to alert Lady Wu as he poured the medicinal powder into the water kettle. Lady Wu used her eyes to reply that she understood. Sun Quan was to one side, watching curiously, but he didn't speak. Presently, the dishes were brought out, and Zhou Yu, Lady Wu, and the rest of them waited to eat, but when the waiter brought the cured meat to the other table, no one moved. Someone rose to get water, but Zhou Yu said, drink some wine instead. He then had the waiter bring on the wine, and at the same time lifted the kettle onto the counter. The waiter went to the backyard to get some wine, but that squad leader interrupted. No need for this trouble, we can just drink some water. Saying this, the leader came over and lifted up the kettle. Zhou Yu said, let them boil some more. The leader waved his hand, meaning there was no need, and he took the kettle over, splitting it with his group. Zhou Yu ate quietly, before saying to Sun Quan, though this place cannot compare to the general's manor, you still have to eat a little more even if it doesn't taste good, otherwise you won't have strength. Sun Quan and Ed. Zhao Yun, who was squatting under the eaves of the hallway, digging into his food, didn't turn his head either. At this time, Zhou Yu's heart was already racing along at top speed. He didn't turn back to look, so he didn't know whether the assassins had drunk that kettle of water or not. A moment later, he heard the squad leader rise and say, I'll go boil some more water. Holding the kettle, he left for the backyard. That squad leader was getting water from the backyard, while Zhao Yun was at one side, lifting some hay to feed a few horses. The squad leader said, feed our horses some too. Yes, "Sir," Zhao Yun said. The leader put down the kettle and opened the back door. When he walked by the carriage, he suddenly had a thought, and he pulled aside the curtain, peeking in. But with just this one glance, he immediately saw a sharp sword appear in front of him, while from behind came a pitchfork. Sun Sa stabbed out from within the curtains, and together with Zhao Yun, the two of them instantly struck down that leader right where he stood. Zhao Yun immediately put down the pitchfork, took off his outer robe, and tossed it into the carriage. Sun Sa dragged the leader's corpse off to one side, while Zhao Yun turned and went in. He sought out Zhou Yu inside the inn and made a gesture, indicating that they had been exposed and had to act. Right at this time, the effects of the poison kicked in. "Why is it dark? The light went out. There's poison. Watch out." The assassins instantly fell into chaos. Zhao Yun covered Sun Quan's mouth, while Zhou Yu swept the food off the table. The two of them instantly rose, but just as they were about to escape, the sound of wind came from behind, and an assassin roared angrily, "Don't let them escape. Attack." Zhou Yu turned, and with a clean move, he pulled out his sword. However, he did not wave it, instead pointing it at that assassin's chest. As soon as the assassin rushed over, he immediately collided into the point of the blade with his chest, and he was swiftly and cleanly stabbed right through. "You all get on the carriage first." Sun Sa roared. The waiter shouted loudly, "Masters! What are you doing?" Zhou Yu gripped that waiter's collar, sending him out with a single kick. The hall of the inn was filled with chaos, and the blinded assassins all pulled out their swords and attacked. Sun Sa struck several times with his staff, but their opponents were actually able to discern those attacks by the sound of the wind, and Sun Sa shouted loudly, "You go first." Zhou Yu backed into the kitchen, and the two of them fought as they retreated. Sun Sa pulled out some lit firewood from within the stove, and it whooshed through the air. Because the enemies could not see, though they dodged the firewood, they could not escape the flames, and immediately their clothes were set alight. They let out wails as they patted wildly, fumbling about. The two of them ran out of the backyard, where Zhao Yun had already readied the carriage. Zhou Yu untied the reins to the military steeds that the assassins had bound together, and Sun Sa vaulted onto a horse. With a wave of the long whip, Zhao Yun roared, "Go!" In the inn, the waiter rushed out. Zhou Yu shouted towards him, "These horses are compensation for your inn. Go quickly. Go to Danyang. Take this." Sun Sa handed the waiter a warrant, telling him to go find Sun Sa's uncle, before he followed closely behind the rest of the group, galloping away onto the main road. The curtain of night fell, and the entire sky was filled with drifting snow. When Zhou Yu turned back to look, he saw that fire had already started to burn the inn at the foot of the mountains. He figured that the waiter also knew that he couldn't avoid what was coming, so he simply set the inn alight with a torch. "I feel really sorry for him," Zhou Yu said. "An unexpected disaster befell him just like that." But Sun Sa replied, 20 horses is enough for him to start his business anew. Though they are military horses, I imagine that Yuan Shu has sent this group out often enough to silence people, and none of the horses are branded. Making them change hands is not difficult." Zhao Yun said, "I'm only afraid that Yuan Shu's troops might already be in pursuit. You two Xiandi should rest a little first, we'll still have to rush ahead tonight." The entire way, Zhou Yu's heart dangled from a string. He had to admit that being able to escape this time was 3 parts thanks to luck, and now that that taut thread had finally loosened, he and Sun Sa climbed into the carriage, taking a brief moment to rest. There were so many people squeezed inside the carriage, so Zhou Yu held Sun Quan as Sun Sa hugged Sopi, finally managing to squeeze inside. Halfway through the night, Zhou Yu woke, only to find that Zhao Yun had taken Sun Sa's spot, and Sopi was slumped in his embrace, sleeping very soundly. "You air." Lady Wu was still awake, and now she spoke. "This time, it's all thanks to you. If you hadn't saved our family. Ande, Zhou Yu replied, smiling, if it wasn't for Bafu, I would have long since died on Mount Gu in Kaihua, or in Luoyang. Either way, I'd have left this world in who knows what kind of hellish nightmare, so please don't say this. Lady Wu smiled. Zhou Yu continued, the heavens did indeed smile upon us, but our escape today was also possible because we borrowed the luck of these two brats, Sun Quan and So Pi. Very true, Lady Wu replied. I heard your uncle often mention Sao Ment, so I imagine he is also an important figure. This time, everyone escaped thanks to his blessing. Zhou Yu smiled and exercised his sore and numb arms. Lady Wu took Sun Quan so that he could be a little more comfortable, and Zhou Yu opened the door to the carriage slightly, sitting onto the driver's seat. You go sleep a little more, Zhou Yu said to Sun Sa. There was a lantern lit in front of Sun Sa's carriage, and he was thoroughly focused on chivying the carriage along during the night. He said to Zhou Yu, once we leave Mount Beigong, we'll be safe and Yuan Shu will no longer be able to catch us. There is one more pass, Zhou Yu said. You go recuperate and get your strength back, this sentry post may be difficult to pass. No worries, Sun Sa said, completely confidently. They don't have Fiyu. Fiyu flapped back, landing on the front of the carriage as it stared at its surroundings. Zhou Yu said, go a little slower on the downward slopes. The narrow, winding mountain path passed through the depths of the valley, and then through a long canyon, before it exited the mountain. Zhou Yu and Sun Sa sat shoulder to shoulder against the door of the carriage, watching that single lamp sway away at the front. I feel like in this life of ours, Sun Sa said, smiling, we probably won't run into a situation as dangerous as today's was again. When I saw the gates to Shaochun close, I almost thought that I would never be able to see you again. I hope it will be that way, Zhou Yu responded mildly. The coming days stretch long ahead of us, but they shouldn't be more troublesome than these were. Thankfully, my wits were quick in a moment of crisis. Sun Sa chuckled. Zhou Yu nudged Sun Sa's head, and Sun Sa kept chuckling to himself. I'm also good material for being a military advisor. Zhou Yu shot him a glance out of the corner of his eye, as if to say, you. Sun Sa chuckled as he leaned against the front of the carriage, shutting his eyes. The sky filled with stars slowly faded as Zhou Yu took the whip, the carriage heading towards the northeast. Early in the morning of the next day, outside Mount Beigong, Zhao Yun lifted the sleepy-eyed Cao Pi onto his horse. I'll take my leave now, my two Xiandi. Zhao Yun cupped his hands at Sun Sa and Zhou Yu. This kindness of coming to our aid is not something I will forget, Sun Sa said to Zhao Yun. If, in the coming days, you are intending to head to Jiangdong, please do come at any time to find Gongjin and I. Zhao Yun smiled and said, we will meet again. Zhou Yu and Sun Sa sent Zhao Yun off with their eyes, and under the first rays of the morning sun, he passed through the thick white fog, leaving the valley behind. Sun Sa shook his head. What a pity. With how he is, Zhou Yu said, climbing onto the carriage, he will not give up his allegiance to Gongsun to serve under you instead. Give up Ba Dash. Sun Sa leapt onto the carriage, smiling. You have such a low opinion of me, don't you know how many men with lofty ideals want to come follow me? You. Zhou Yu said. Who knows which person with no vision wants to follow you? There are naturally those with no vision, Sun Sa said gleefully. Isn't there one right in front of me? The corners of Zhou Yu's mouth quirked upwards, and he responded with whatever was on the tip of his tongue, before ignoring him altogether. Sun Sa, however, kept tugging on Zhou Yu, insisting that he explain, and the two of them scuffled as they brought the carriage out of Mount Beigong. But when they arrived at Shanyang County, the originally arranged for Sun Jian had not arrived. Instead, one of his subordinates, Cheng Pu, had come instead. Upon seeing Zhou Yu climb off the carriage, Cheng Pu came forward to kowtow, saying solemnly, My family's Zigong thanks Zhou Gongzi for his great benevolence. A trifling matter, why be so hung up on it? Zhou Yu hurried to lift Chang Pu to his feet. Since he could not get Sun Jian to come, Sun Sa figured that he must have been caught up in some other matter, so he asked, "General Chang, is my father fighting?" Chang Pu took off his helmet. Though his head was streaked with white, his features were that of a young man's, and his face bore scars. His hair, which had gone white in his youth, was especially eye-catching. He answered, "The general has accepted the written orders of Yuan Gong and has mobilized his troops in an expedition against Lu Biao." "What?" Zhou Yu's heart thumped. But Sun Sa replied, as if this was nothing, "What's wrong with Lu Biao now?" "Jingzhou is unwilling to take orders," Chang Pu said. "And because of that, Zigong is heading there on an expedition. He ordered that since it was on the way, that I escort the madam back to the southeast, to Danyang." Zhou Yu stayed silent as he pondered. He knew that this was a private matter of Sun Sa's family, so he shouldn't interject. Lady Wu lifted aside the curtain, asking what had happened, and Zhou Yu reported it just as he had heard. Chang Pu had brought 500 men for Sun Sa to take command of, to head south along the river. Sun Sa climbed onto the carriage and discussed for a while with Zhou Yu, and though Zhou Yu was originally unwilling to say too much, the meaning of Sun Sa's words showed that he was already treating Zhou Yu as one of his own. Zhou Yu thought for a bit. Before the new year, Sun Jian had already received the military rations, and now, the correct course of action would have been to stay at the Hang Pass. But because Lu Biao of Jingzhou had delayed time and again in mobilizing his forces, and Jingzhou was historically a region that military forces had fought over, Sun Jian's coveting of Jingzhou was also within reason. Sun Jian probably also felt the pressure that Yuan Shu was exerting. If he didn't take over a region and claim himself as its ruler soon, it would be hard to maintain a balance with Yuan Shu, Yuan Shao, and the rest. But to select the location, Silai was out of the question, and as soon as they took Luoyang, enemies would come at them from all sides. They could only retreat and choose to head south this time. The region of Jiangsu was involved too heavily in too many things, and there were many aristocratic families there as well. It was also right next to Yuan Shu's territory, and it was not as profitable as gaining Jingzhou would be. Of course, the preface to this was that they had to be able to slaughter Lu Biao. And for suppressing Lu Biao, they had just the right reason to wage war, if only because Lu Biao did not accept the orders of the king of Qin, nor did he participate in the campaign against Dongzhou. Killing Lu Biao was something that more or less the various marquises would be overjoyed to hear. No one would send out troops to aid Jingzhou. Zhou Yu had to admit that this was indeed a miraculous strategy. The only question was when Sun Jian went south to Jingzhou, if he could win against Lu Biao. "You must go forth to support your father," Zhou Yu said. 500 men, what can be done with them?" Sun Sa said. "Relax, since he has sent out his troops, he has a plan. My guess is that as soon as he touches Jingzhou, Yuan Shu will immediately be alerted." Zhou Yu said. "We cannot head to Danyang. Otherwise, if Yuan Shu does move his troops towards Danyang, there are too many troubles to deal with there." Sun Sa stopped speaking. After Lady Wu listened to the narrative, she said, "Yuan speaks rightly. If your father can gain Jingzhou, I'm afraid that Yuan Shu will only make things more difficult for us mother and son. Now, aside from returning to Changsha, there is no better alternative." "There is," Zhou Yu said. "Come to my home." Lady Wu startled. Zhou Yu continued, "Right now, Yuan Shu is most definitely on his way to Danyang, and customs controls have been set up along the two roads to Changsha, but he definitely is not expecting us to head to Shu County. Andi and Sun Quan can stay at my home for a while, and after General Sun gains Jingzhou, General Chang Pu can escort you. We can then reunite in Jingzhou." Lady Wu replied, "I'm afraid that will trouble your mother." Zhou Yu said, "How could it?" If you're willing to go, she won't even have the time to grow overjoyed before you arrive. Sun Sa knew that this action of Zhou Yu's was undoubtedly giving him great help. In just the span of a few sentences, he had arranged it all clearly, so Sun Sa said, Gongjin is also missing home, so mother, there is no need to decline any further. Lady Wu smiled. She understood the meaning in Zhou Yu's words, and she no longer pushed. In the spring of the second year of Shuping, less than half a year after Zhou Yu went north, he led his troops back to Shu County. The troops of Qinpu made camp in Mount Gu, sending out only 20 or so people to protect them on the way. Zhou Yu returned home, and though he had only parted with his mother for half a year, it seemed as if many things had happened. Lady Wu and Madame Zhou, on the other hand, were reuniting for the first time in many years, and their eyes were filled with tears. Things began to get lively in his household, and for Zhou Yu to settle them in one by one took another bout of effort. The spring light was bright and warm, and the cherry blossoms filled the air. Another spring had come, and finally the two of them could, peacefully and quietly, live carefreely for a few days. But to Zhou Yu, there was no spring busier than this one. He first reported to his mother of the happenings this time in Shaochun. Madame Zhou listened quietly in the garden, before saying, Madame Sun also brought up this matter. The salary that great General Yuan paid you, mother has saved it all for you. Every month's salary has been sealed well and placed in the back warehouse, and if you are unwilling to accept it, all you need to do is send someone to return it. Zhou Yu replied, this child knows that Yuan Shu must hate me to death with this. Madame Zhou replied mildly, what you have carried out is a righteous matter, while Yuan Shu is not a righteous person. Why be afraid of him? When Zhou Yu thought about it, that was indeed the case. People who were not righteous would naturally run out of paths of retreat. He continued, there is no need to return it. When I was holding that position in the general's manor, this child did do many things for him, more or less. After all, the jade seal is in his hands in the end, in exchange for the people of the Sun family, so he cannot go claim that we have outmaneuvered him. Madame Zhou then said, gaining Jingzhou, on the other hand, is something that Madame Sun is very worried about. Zhou Yu said, as for this child has no way to deal with that either. According to rumors, General Sun has never been one to listen to outsiders' words. This child still has one more request. Madame Zhou watched Zhou Yu, and after Zhou Yu voiced it, Madame Zhou said, if you think it will work, then carry it out as you need. Zhou Yu nodded, and that concluded his report to his mother. Several days afterwards, he withdrew the silver from their savings. In addition, he liquidated a portion of the business that they hadn't touched in a few years, leaving behind 400 mu of silk fields, which altogether turned into a sum of money. End chapter. Twin Jades of Jiangdong. Chapter 16. Rushing to the rescue. Several days later, Zhou Yu personally went to the Lu family to see Lu Su, who said, a few days ago, I already heard that you had come back. Originally, I thought you would bring your Soongage here to visit. He's gone out into the streets, Zhou Yu said. I managed to make some time to come here. Have you tallied up all of the gold that got sent to you a few days ago? 300 taels of gold, and 4,000 taels of silver, Lu Su said. It's almost more than what my family has in our warehouse. What exactly do you want to buy? Here is the list, Zhou Yu said. I do not trust anyone else, so I can only seek you out to carry out this task for me. Hey, Lu Su said amusedly after taking a single glance at the list. Raising yourself an army? What large transaction are you planning on doing? Zhou Yu didn't respond. He merely drank a cup of tea and turned to look at the yard outside, which was filled with flying peach blossoms. Lu Su said, it's not that I'm scolding you, Zhou Gongjin, but even though you look like water on the surface, flowing neither to the left nor the right, causing not a ripple, in reality, You're as impulsive as it gets? I've already thought it through, Zhou Yu said. I've thought about it for 3 years, and now it is the 4th year already. Rising to his feet, Lu Su said, you're placing your bet on the Sun family. There's no betting in this case, Zhou Yu mused, taking another sip of tea, not even glancing at Lu Su. I can only do my best. How the future will be is not something that anyone can control. Sun Jian is stubborn and set in his ways, Lu Su said. It will be hard for him to accomplish great things, and he has also fallen out with Yuan Shu. Now, for his son, you have even offended Yuan Shu as well. If he isn't able to gain Jingzhou, how will you fare then? You didn't put your support behind him earlier or later, you had to pick this very moment. As soon as you make the decision, you will not be able to turn back. Zhou Yu said, when my dad was still alive, he often said that there was no need to be afraid of those people who made promises to others with their lives on the line. Rather, one ought to be on guard around those people who often spoke nothing at all, instead spending days, months, or even their entire lives to think something over. Lu Su looked at Zhou Yu as if he didn't recognize him. It is exactly because some people are never willing to make a decision, Zhou Yu said, glossing over it lightly, that when he truly takes that first step, he will never turn back. Isn't it like that? All right, Lu Su said, beginning to smile. Since you have already made up your mind, leave it to me. Zhou Yu finished drinking his tea, and he rose. 3 days later, we'll go drink wine on the boats by the shores of Lake Chao. I'll take you to meet Sun Sa. Lu Su thought for a moment, before saying, we'll see. Though you may be willing to spend all of your family's fortune to help him, I still haven't agreed. You will like him, Zhou Yu said, putting down his cup to look at Lu Su. He and his legendary father are not alike. The corners of Lu Su's mouth lifted slightly, as if he had had the same thought. Against the backdrop of the entire yard filled with drifting peach blossom petals, the sound of Zhou Yu's wooden clogs left the area, disappearing into the end of the small alleyway. 3 days later, the sunlight was brilliant over Lake Chao, and a warm wind roused the waters of the lake. Zhou Yu held the string of a kite, loosing one that stumbled about in the sky, before he tied the string to the prow of the boat. From under the awning came Sun Sa's bright loud laugh, and the sound of Lu Su slapping the table. All right. Sun Sa said, patting Lu Su's shoulder. I'll take care of it. Sun Bafu, Lu Su said earnestly. There is one more thing, which I am not sure if I should say or not. Sun Sa put his hand over the cup, indicating that Lu Su need not pour him any more wine. He replied, speak freely, Gongjin has never been polite to me. Zhou Yu ducked his head and went under the awning, crossing his legs and sitting down, straightening his robes as he did. He used his chopsticks to pull out the white fish in the pot. Carefully picking out the bones, he then split it amongst Lu Su and Sun Sa. Lu Su dipped his chopsticks in a bit of wine, and drew out a general map of the various states and counties in the Jiangnan region. He said seriously, Jingzhou is connected to the east and west, and is crisscrossed by paths heading north and south. News of General Sun, the Pola general, starting a war with Liu Biao must have already spread to the ears of Yuan Shu by now. Sun Sa didn't reply, he merely listened quietly. Zhou Yu interrupted, Yuan Shu's #1 strategist, Yang Hong, is one filled with schemes. He cannot be taken lightly. Lu Su waved his hand, meaning that Yang Hong was not enough to bring trouble as he continued, in this region, Zhongling is a patch of land that your honored father must gain. No matter if it's Yuan Shu or Yuan Shao, this is beyond the grasp of both. This region has the Han River to its back, and the Yangtze to its front, so the waterways are well developed. Sun Sa seemed to have observed this as well. Lu Su continued, Yuan Shu's naval troops are very weak, but Liu Biao, with Cai Mao and Huangziu under him, have naval troops which number almost 20,000. Zhou Yu sank into thought. Lu Su shot Zhou Yu a glance, as if to say, why don't you say the next part, my part here is done. Sun Sa looked at Zhou Yu, who sighed and said, Zijin and I both feel that whoever gains the naval troops will be able to control Jiangnan. This current battle situation, no matter if it's the Changsha troops, Yuan Shu's troops, the Jizhu troops, or even the Ziliang troops, none of them have the ability to control boats and train in archery. I understand now, Sun Sa said. These few days, I have also been constantly thinking, if father successfully conquers Zhongling, then gathering up naval troops will become a large issue. Lu Su added, naturally, Lu Biao will not keep all of his warships at Zhongling. But no matter what, I feel like Bafu, you should take a trip there. Yes, Sun Sa nodded and said. These days, Fiyu has never returned, so I do not know how the battle situation is like there. With Gongjin in Shu County, I already have no more lingering regrets. Bird calls echoed through the thousands of mountains, wind swept over the vast plains, and white clouds passed overhead. The waters of Lake Chao slowly stopped moving, as if it was a bright mirror that spanned thousands of li, reflecting the eternally limpid blue sky. Sun Sa was in the fish market by the lake, buying things, and Lu Su sat at the prow of the boat. Zhou Yu stood, wearing a bamboo hat, asking, how is he? Lu Su replied, he's someone who can listen. He places higher value in your words than in mine, Zhou Yu replied. I've urged him a few times, telling him to head out as soon as he could to support General Sun, but he kept being mischievous with me. Being too familiar is also not good. Lu Su smiled. Being too familiar doesn't mean that he isn't listening to you. My guess is that he cannot bear to leave, because you are here in Shu County to keep him company, and his days here are leisurely. So, under the pretense of taking care of his aging mother, he's lazing about for a few more days. Under the bamboo hat, the corners of Zhou Yu's mouth quirked faintly upwards into a hint of a smile. Lu Su tossed his hook out, saying, my mother even said a few years ago that when I go find a wife, I've got to search based on how Zhou Gongjin is. Without saying a word, Zhou Yu picked up a pole in both hands to whack Lu Su, who laughed as he ducked under the hits, saying, she has to be gentle and steady, calm yet generous. Sun Sa laughed as he got on the boat, saying, Gongjin, every friend of yours has been beaten up by you, haven't they? Still not stopping? It's time to go. Zhou Yu pushed off the bottom of the lake with the pole, and he steered the little boat swiftly through Lake Chao. The next day, Sun Sa headed towards the mountains, deciding to set off from Mount Gu. He left behind 100 men at the mountain pass to Shu County to stand guard and send reports. And yet, Fiyu had still not returned, even to this point. Zhou Yu went to send him off. Originally, he had wanted to head off together with Sun Sa, but someone was needed here to oversee the overall situation. Lu Su needed to buy boats and gather men for Sun Sa, otherwise Zhou Yu would have sent him off as well. You must not seek battle needlessly, Zhou Yu admonished him again. I know, Sun Sa said. You like to fuss even more than my mother does. Go, Zhou Yu said. If anything comes up, send Fiyu with a message. Sun Sa kicked his horse into moving a few steps away, before he turned and looked at Zhou Yu again, saying with amusement, you're not going to wish your Zigong victory from the very start. You must be victorious from the start, Zhou Yu said. Don't let your pride get the better of you. Also, it's summer, so you mustn't randomly drink dirty water. Sun Sa laughed and responded jokingly. Zhou Yu wanted to catch up to him and beat him up, but Sun Sa led his 400 riders out of the valley with a whistle. Zhou Yu watched for a while more, before he slowly left. From that day onwards, Lu Su went to every length possible. He moved to the Zhou family residence, and the two of them, from morning to night, were occupied with verifying the costs and checking the account books, as Lu Su had purchased a shipyard on the southern side of Shu County. Wood, willow pins, rope, pitch, and such goods were shipped there from all over the Jiangnan region. Zhou Yu often left for 3 or 4 days at a time, residing temporarily in the shipyard, and while he was gone Lu Su would take the chance to go forth and listen for rumors, as well as recruit naval troops. If everything went successfully, the first batch of 20 warships would be ready to enter the water this autumn. But the issue of the troops was still present. Zhou Yu had gone personally to the Shu County governor to discuss. Since the world of today was embroiled in disputes, no matter if it was Shu County or the entire country, everyone needed their regional troops to protect them. The governor was moved by Zhou Yu's words, and so Zhou Yu established a military barracks by Lake Chao, personally bringing the new troops that he had recruited here to practice archery and naval tactics. In the blink of an eye, spring left and summer came. In the early summer, Zhou Yu and Lu Su were both busy from dawn to dusk. After finally finding some time to go home and visit his mother, Zhou Yu found that Fi Yi was currently waiting at home for him. Zhou Yu had finally received a message from Sun Sa, which stated that all was well with the situation on the battlefield, and in a few days, Jingzhou would inevitably fall. Sun Sa was currently waiting for a chance to attack Jiangling County, while Lu Biao was keeping the gates shut, unwilling to fight. Sun Jian was currently figuring out a strategy to besiege the city. Sun Sa's writing was scribbled and hasty, and the last words, "Don't worry," were scrawled in a hurried hand. It was clear that he had written this in the middle of a battle. Zhou Yu stowed the letter away, but just as he was about to report to Lady Wu, he heard the crisp sound of porcelain breaking in the room, and Lady Wu's noise of surprise. "Onto." Zhou Yu pushed the door open and entered, hurriedly helping Lady Wu to her feet. Lady Wu replied, "I accidentally broke a bowl, I'm really too careless." Zhou Yu ordered the servants to come in and clean up, asking, "How has Auntie's health been these past few days?" "I don't know why," Lady Wu responded, "but these past few days, I've always been worried and preoccupied. Sun Sa has sent a letter." Zhou Yu steadied his own nerves and read the letter. Only then did Lady Wu grow relieved, and she said, "As long as they are fine, then that's good. These few days my heart has been in my throat." Zhou Yu said, "Once the matter of the naval troops is settled, I'll take a trip to Jiangling." Lady Wu replied, "I will have to trouble you then." Lady Wu was clearly still a little disquieted, and only after Zhou Yu told her to rest well did he walk out into the corridor. As he stood in the courtyard, without knowing why, Zhou Yu was also a little disquieted, as if something was amiss over there in Jingzhou. Afterwards, Zhou Yu derided himself for caring about the wrong things. He always worried for no reason. He sent Fi Yi with a response, telling Sun Sa that Lu Biao's subordinates were experienced in 100 battles, fierce generals who had wiped out countless invaders. He shouldn't take them lightly, and should instead listen to Sun Jian's orders, especially with regards to not backing a desperate foe into a corner. This time, Fi Yi's response was even slower. Clearly, there were military summons that had kept this intelligent white falcon. In the 4th month, when the fragrance of the flowers faded and the rainy season of Jiangnan was about to start, Zhou Yu finally received another letter brought by Fi Yi. Fi Yi flapped in and landed on the table. A bloody cloth was tied to its claw, which stole the gaze and startled the heart. The rain poured down in a torrent, and lightning struck wildly as the entire region of Jiangzhou entered summer. The arrival of the rainy season was as if the heavens themselves were dumping rain below with an angry roar. The waters of the Yangtze rose, and the monsoons grew stronger without end, so much so that all the boats along the way could only retreat into bays sheltered from the wind. A person headed southwest, wearing a bamboo hat, only to be stopped in his journey in Jiangzhou. "We can't take the boats out today," the shipmaster shouted. That person's entire body was soaked, and he led a horse along. No one knew where he came from, and he was bedraggled from how drenched he was, his entire body dripping with water. He pulled out a cloth bag, shook out almost 10 taels of silver, and put them on the counter with one hand. The shipmaster had never seen this much silver before, and he stared at him dumbly. The traveler pushed his hat up a little, revealing a handsome, ashen white face. It was Zhou Yu. His face was also wet, and his hair had already been soaked through, yet he was unwilling to take off his hat. The shipmaster thought for a bit, before saying, "That won't do. Customer, I know that you have pressing matters. But with such strong wind and waves, and with this flood, it's impossible to cross." Zhou Yu then pulled out 3 leaves of gold, pinching them between his fingers, before he placed them on the counter as well. They flashed with a golden light, and the shipmaster even stopped breathing. The wind on the pier was so strong that it was about to collapse the wooden harbor as well. The captains of the boats went in and out, their attention focused on it, but no one dared to take Zhou Yu's money. "I can't," the boatmaster said. "I really can't." Zhou Yu untied an ancient jade that he had hanging from his belt, placing that on the counter as well. He said, "That's what little I have. Who's willing to set sail?" Zhou Yu's what little he had was already enough to let quite a few families live a peaceful, happy life. A boat captain said, "Customer, it's not that we're trying to get more money out of you, even if this humble one loses his life, this money is enough for this one's wife and son to live. However, even if we take you, we would still have to bring you across the river, and with these dangerous winds and waves, this humble one's life is not worth this money. If you, customer, were to sink in the middle of the river, this humble one would not be able to rest easy, even as a ghost." "That's right," someone said. "Today, the wind and rain have been coming in waves. After tomorrow, the wind will probably die down. Wait a little longer, all right." Upon hearing those words, Zhou Yu understood that these boat captains also had no choice, so he moved to put his money away. Suddenly, a hand reached out from the side, slapping down onto the silver tails, the golden leaves, and the ancient jade. The boat captains around immediately looked shocked, and the crowd dissipated. Zhou Yu followed the line of that arm and looked up, only to see a man over 8 chi in height, his upper body bare. His build was not burly, but his muscles seemed to have been trained in the wind and the rain. There was not too much, nor too little. That man was wearing a lined jacket, and his hair was shorn very short. His face was covered with water, and he had the grin of a ruffian on his face. There was a tattoo of an odd fish on his back and umla of agar wood around his wrist. He was a very handsome man, but he had an air of a bandit about him. 1 stick of incense later, Zhou Yu followed that bandit along the river. The bandit held onto Zhou Yu's money, buying a boat from the shipmaster and sending off the boat captain. This place was called the Change of Ferry, with 16 ships and 2 ship companies. The boat captains were all not willing to ferry the boats, so Zhou Yu could only buy his own and follow along behind that bandit. The bandit was wearing a pair of white pants that cut off at his knees, and his feet were bare. When he stood on the rocks, he looked like a nail that stood there, unmoving. "Do you know how to swim?" the bandit shouted to Zhou Yu. Zhou Yu nodded. The boat was brought over, and the bandit drawled, "Life and death are predestined, and wealth is dependent on the heavens. Once you get on this boat, your life will be handed over to the heavens. If you die, then don't blame this old Ganzingba. Let's go." "Wait a moment," Zhou Yu shouted. That bandit's courtesy name was Ganzingba, and his name was the single character Ning. He moved back and forth between Jingzhou and Yizhu, and he was the overlord of the Yangtze. Upon hearing what Zhou Yu said, he came to a stop on the rocks, not hurrying to get on the boat. It was then that he saw Zhou Yu untie his bundle, take off his hat, and kneel down by the river, formally and properly kowtowing 3 times eastward. "Let's go," Zhou Yu said. The 2 of them got on the boat. Gan Ning easily twirled the pole in his hand, pushing off front the shore, and the little boat immediately flew into the air, shooting towards the center of the river like an arrow leaving a bow. With this single move of Gan Ning's, Zhou Yu was immediately shocked. He understood that this bandit was no ordinary one. Ever since he was small, Zhou Yu had practiced martial arts and spent a lot of time working on his sword skills, so normal bandits were not his opponents. He was also very good in the water, so he was not afraid of being robbed at all, but with the current situation, he realized that he had been too arrogant. The wild winds churned the waves up into little mountains, and the surface of the river looked as if it was a raging ocean, each wave crashing solidly down like a collapsing mountain. Gan Ning stood at the prow of the boat, singing at the top of his lungs, and the world was a patch of darkness, as if the end of the world had come and the heavens and earth were about to be destroyed. Black clouds roiled as the little boat sailed towards the other shore of the Yellow Springs, unable to be seen with the naked eye. Gan Ning's upper half was bare, and his long white pants had already been soaked translucent by the water. It was as if he was completely naked, standing there majestically amongst this world, with a different kind of beauty to him. Zhou Yu's hat had already long since been swept off by the wind, and it flew into the river. "Why are you going to the other shore?" Gan Ning asked Zhou Yu loudly. "To see someone." Zhou Yu replied loudly. "What family someone needs to be so rushed?" Gan Ning grinned roguishly. "Are you marrying a wife?" Zhou Yu shook his head helplessly and chuckled, before shouting back, "The Changsha prefect, the Sun family." The small boat passed through the raging tempest, and in this vast world, their 2 lives dangled from a single string. At this moment, Zhou Yu no longer saw Gan Ning as a mere bandit. If the next moment, the boat was destroyed and they died, then he and Gan Ning would both be buried at the bottom of the river. Life was just like that. What glory! What honor! All of it had long since grown very distant. There was only a single boat and 2 people, there was nothing really to hide, and nothing really to fuss over. "Sun Jian?" Gan Ning asked. "You know him?" Zhou Yu shouted back loudly. "You fucking bet I do." Gan Ning roared. 3 days ago, I was heading back from Jiangxia, and he almost took even my life. Zhou Yu had never expected that he would be able to get a report of the situation at the front lines here. Ever since he had received Fi Yu's message, his heart had stayed in his throat, and he was terrified that Sun Sa had befallen some accident. He had rushed along day and night, not even caring for his own life. "How is Sun Sa?" Zhou Yu asked. A huge wave washed over them, almost sending the 2 of them into the water. Gan Ning staggered, and Zhou Yu hurried to grab him. Using a strip of cloth, Gan Ning tied the 2 of them together, then lashed that to the prow. "Which son of a bitch is Sun Sa?" Gan Ning shouted loudly. "Zhou Yu. Sun Jian's son." Zhou Yu said. Gan Ning called back, "Sun Jian was shot to death by Huang Ziyu. I don't know about the others. His son's probably still alive." Zhou Yu had already guessed that matters were urgent, but he hadn't expected that they would be so tragic. He asked, "Was he killed by Huang Ziyu?" "Mount Xian." Gan Ning roared. "He shouldn't have chased Huang Ziyu. But he did so anyways. So he died to a single arrow of Huang Ziyu's." There was no news that could be worse than this. Upon hearing it, the world spun around Zhou Yu, and the little boat almost tipped over. Gan Ning once again grabbed Zhou Yu, and he roared, "Careful! Who are the Sun family to you?" Gan Ning asked again. "Old family friends," Zhou Yu said. Gan Ning didn't say any more, but as soon as they passed the center of the river, the wind and waves seemed to reflect what Zhou Yu was feeling as they slowly calmed. In less time than a steep of tea, the waters actually calmed. The dark clouds parted, revealing a golden sunset. Zhou Yu's entire body lacked strength, and his martial robe was already soaking wet. He untied the cloth strip, saying to Gan Ning, "Thanks." With a hee-hee, Gan Ning smiled a smile that didn't reach his eyes, still standing at the prow of the boat. Zhou Yu leaned against the back of the boat, only able to feel that there was no experience more dangerous than this in his life. Sometimes, no matter if you ruled over the entire world, and had hundreds of thousands of troops under your command, if the heavens grew enraged, no one would be able to balance that. You weren't afraid of this old one sinking the boat and kidnapping you. Gan Ning asked. I wasn't, Zhou Yu replied, not even lifting his head as he wrung out the water in his robe. What would you kidnap me for? Kidnap you and take you back to be this bandit chief's wife, Gan Ning teased. Zhou Yu jolted, before he began to chuckle. With that kind of kidnapping, you can still kidnap women. Gan Ning said, Lao Zi often ferried women from good families to the center of the river, but as soon as the boat got stuck, they couldn't go up to the sky or down to the ground, so naturally they would have to go along with me. If it wasn't for the fact that you look handsome, Lao Zi wouldn't have had this idea to ferry you in the first place. Zhou Yu immediately grew very embarrassed, and he quickly changed the topic, asking, and then what? And then? Gan Ning asked. After finishing, then I let them go home. Zhou Yu thought about one lone boat on the vast Yangtze, and how as soon as it got stuck, Gan Ning would enjoy himself with the woman on board, spending that spring night with them on the boat along the river. To be that loose was truly very preposterous to him. The small boat slowly approached the shore, and when Zhou Yu climbed onto land, he wanted to say a few words to Gan Ning. Go, Gan Ning said easily. Don't be fussy, don't delay taking care of your matter. A great kindness cannot be repaid with words alone. On the shore, Zhou Yu bowed deeply to Gan Ning, but with a wave of his hand, Gan Ning tossed the bag of ancient jade, the silver tails, the golden leaves over. Zhou Yu caught it and hurriedly said, Xingbaxiang, you cannot. But Gan Ning ignored him. With a lazy touch of his long pole against the shore, against the brilliant golden glow of the sunset, he departed the western shore. Humming a tune, he left behind the lone Zhou Yu standing by the shore, lost in thought. End chapter.